Coming up next, an extremely early morning recording session for The Hobbit.
Yay.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Hobbit. This is Nathan, and today we're doing the Bookening, apparently. We're going to read the Bookening and tell you all about it.
We're going to read it.
Yeah, the second half of the Bookening, The Desolation of Smaug. It's the earliest. I don't know if you can tell from my voice. This is how I talk in the morning, folks. I talk like this.
That's lovely, Nathan.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I sound like I've smoked a million cigarettes. And
we may have our own sleeping dragon, Jake.
Yeah, Jake not here yet, but hopefully will walk in soon.
I did stop by his house and steal all his treasure.
Right. Do you have a black arrow? We might need a black arrow.
I forgot mine at home.
You forgot your black... Brandon, don't leave home
without my black
without
arrow.
your black arrow.
We may be in trouble.
Okay. Well, in all seriousness, folks, Brandon's right here. In all seriousness, we are not lying about that. Brandon's right here. You know what else doesn't lie?
What?
Brandon's hips.
They do not lie.
No, they don't. I don't think. They've never told me any lies.
Hey, you know what? I saw a fun meme on Facebook the other day.
Yeah, I like fun memes.
A friend that posted, apparently this restaurant had a sign outside saying, "You think you can't dance?
Mm-hmm.
Just spell your name in the air with your bum. Problem solved."
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it's true. Get your hips moving.
Yeah, just spell your name in the air with your bum. Oh, wow. Brandon's doing it right now. What an amazing... It's like river dance over there. Yeah, no, Brandon really wasn't dancing, folks.
No, I wasn't. I'm sitting right here.
No, he's sitting right here. Do you think, since Jake hasn't shown up yet, let's talk about Jake's hips. They lie all the time,
They
Brandon.
do. They're just tricking me all the time.
Yeah, you remember a lot when they told us that Mrs. McGillicuddy had ice cream for the whole neighborhood?
Yeah, and she didn't.
And yeah, we gave up our baseball game. We ran over there, and
his hips just laughed at us.
Yeah, they did. And Mrs. McGillicuddy was so confused, and yeah.
Yeah, it was sad.
People should know, me and Brandon and Jake all grew up in like a 1950s neighborhood together.
That's right, like a Sandlot sort of situation.
Sandlot sort of situation.
And Nathan, we both loved our ice cream.
We loved our ice cream.
Jake would always be tricking us with ice cream.
Yep, Jake's hips, more specifically, because they did lie.
Yeah.
And Brandon's hips, they've never told me a lie. Anything that I get from Brandon's hips is gold.
That's largely because I wasn't born with a second face on the side of my hips like Jake was.
Right.
People probably should know that.
Yeah, that is the other thing. Now, should we tell people, are we generally hearing from Jake's hips on the podcast or from Jake?
Usually from Jake, but occasionally his hips will take over. That face will get up there and it'll tell some lies. That's what you get, Jake, for not showing up on time.
That's what Jake gets for not showing up on time. Oh, man, he hasn't even texted me with an ETA.
We may just be on our own.
Yeah, we may just be on our own, but Brandon, the podcast cannot not continue. So we need to talk about The Hobbit.
Yeah.
There's no putting it off. And I promise, folks, we won't stall. We'll get to some Hobbit today. You're getting this episode, you may have noticed, is called The Hobbit.
Or at least we can talk about Riddles in the Dark.
We can at least talk about Riddles in the Dark.
It's a great chapter.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the chapter.
Yeah.
I thought you just wanted to turn off the lights and talk about riddles.
Yeah. We should dress like Gollum and scare the guy who's coming in here to record after us.
Yes.
make him answer riddles.
The man for whom we are recording so early today.
What's in our buckets?
Well, here's a question, Brandon.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a fair riddle? That I guess Gollum didn't really think it was fair, but
no, Gollum was pretty desperate at that point.
I feel like Gollum just should have said do-over.
Yeah.
And made Bilbo give a different riddle.
Yep.
What's your favorite riddle?
Probably the one about the egg.
Yeah, that one's always stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I have used it on people, and I've had it used on me, and I've snapped wittily back an egg.
Yeah.
When someone's used it on me, because I've read The Hobbit. Yeah. An egg, precious.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to compare this chapter to the Mines of Moria chapter in the Lord of the Rings. Which do you think does it better?
Like, encapsulates just the dark, dank feeling of being...
Yeah, which captures better the Mines of Moria? This book or...
I'm going to say the Mines of Moria chapter captures better the Mines of Moria.
Well, okay. Fine, thank you.
Which chapter captures better that cave feeling?
Yeah.
Or is it Narnia, the thing that...
Oh, yeah. That actually does a pretty good job, too. The silver chair.
The silver chair?
Yeah.
I want to say it's not this, probably.
No, this one still has some of that cartoonish feeling to it, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
With the orcs coming out of the wall, grabbing old Bilbo.
Yeah.
And his crew. Well, then I guess they don't grab Bilbo, but they all, fall down. And this is where we get to see Bilbo kind of... So I made the point a couple episodes ago that J.R. Tolkien's drawing heavily from the sort of Jack figures in fairy tales. This is where we really begin to see that come out with his trickster. Bilbo wins a lot through his wits and his deception.
Right.
And yet you don't get the sense that it's an immoral sort of deception.
I was trying to think, what is the literary precedent for the Gollum scene? I mean, is this a invention of Tolkien's? And I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't ask you to research this or anything, but
no, I think that you go back to just some of the old fairy tales that he would have been, but also he was heavily influenced by Norse mythology, which is what made him and Lewis such good, well, not the only reason they were good friends, but one of the reasons. They were both Norse nerds.
Right, Norse nerds.
Norse nerds. And so there was, like with Woden and stuff like that, I don't know Norse mythology all that well because I'm not a Norse nerd, but my understanding is that there's, like Loki and stuff, there's trickster stuff happening in that.
Right.
So where one person is, and also the Odyssey, with there's precedent there with my name is no one, and so no one has hurt me when he's talking to Polyphemus.
Right. I mean, Odysseus himself is quite the trickster.
Yeah. And so, you have kind of a divide between the types of hero. Bilbo definitely falls into that, and there is precedent for it, the trickster sort of hero who doesn't have the brawn. Like, Odysseus still had some brawn.
Right.
But he relied more on his cleverness and his intelligence, while Achilles would not have. Achilles still had some wits about him too, but he was strong as all get out. And so he could win through his strength. Beowulf would be more of an Achilles sort of hero. And so you see this sort of divide. Bilbo falls more into that category where and then with also fairy tales, like I said, with the Jack figure. So it's not just the Jack the Giant Slayer, but there are in fairy tales, and this I think comes from like Wells and sort of Germanic folklore where you have this figure that's called the Jack figure. You can actually look it up and find the Jack figure. And they're always a little bit mischievous, a little bit tricksterish, and they win through their wits. And so there are a series of fairy tales you can go and read in the Grimm's book. If you guys have a Grimm's book of fairy tales, our listeners, you can go and find these. It's pretty interesting. Now, the difference is Bilbo has to do this because I think Bilbo finds this out about himself.
Right.
We don't see this from the beginning with Bilbo.
Right.
But it's through necessity that Bilbo becomes heroic through his wits.
Well, what I like about the Gollum chapter in particular is that Bilbo is able to use a Hobbit skill, for lack of a better word. It's not like you watch Lethal Weapon Part 2 and Mel Gibson's going to get out of a straitjacket at the beginning of the movie, and then at the end of the movie, the bad guys are going to throw him into the water, and he's going to have to get out of a straitjacket. What do you know about that?
Yeah.
It's a skill that he knows. But here's Bilbo using a mundane skill. Like hobbits are the kinds of people that you could imagine just sitting around telling each other riddles and jokes and stuff like that. And suddenly it has broad, scary application in the real world.
What's interesting about Tolkien too, though, is that he doesn't stereotype his heroism based on race.
Right.
Or so the hobbits can all be heroic in different ways.
Right.
Bilbo's a trickster and clever and also brave when he needs, but Frodo is not a trickster.
No, Frodo is just persistent.
And
really.
Sam is not a trickster. Sam's just loyal. And so what he says is, I think what he's making a point about is that we each have our strengths, personality strengths, and courage and heroism shows up with you using that strength when it's needed and not being a coward.
Right.
Right. Some of us are given a lot of them, like Gandalf. Some of us aren't. So Gandalf has strength and wit and cleverness and all that stuff.
He ain't afraid of no goblin
and
king.
Persistence and loyalty. Well, yeah, he's loyal to Aragorn.
Right. Gandalf's pretty loyal.
Yeah. Just think about how he falls into a pit, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, he also is like, all right, guys, bye. I got to go deal with some stuff.
We're at the edge of a scary forest here. See you guys later.
See you guys later.
I got something to do. It's definitely not because I'm afraid to go into the forest with you guys.
Definitely. You think that's really what it was? Gandalf was just scared to death of the forest.
So. I mean, I would be.
Yeah, it's a scary forest. He just hates spiders.
If I had the sort of power and authority where I could just pretend to have to scamper off at the last minute, I'd be like, yeah, guys, you got this.
Oh, man. I mean, lots of people do, you know? I mean, I think we've all had that boss who's like, oh, yeah, I'm getting a phone call. I guess I can't help you guys. You know,
his pile of work.
With his pile of work.
Oh, man, I really wish I could make that 5-hour drive with you guys.
Right.
But I've got things to do here in town.
Oh, yeah, it's all where things are piling up. Click on the Minecraft.
But can't you do that on your phone and while we're driving? No. Guys, no.
Come on, Gandalf.
Yeah.
Gandalf just went back to Rivendell and got on the Wi-Fi and played some Angry Birds.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but just so you'll even see that trait, not just with hobbits, but with other people as well, like men. Boromir, he should have been loyal, but he wasn't. But Faramir, he's more, his strength really is his kindness, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's just interesting seeing that play out. We'll have to watch that. Just watch the way that Tolkien does that. I think it gives a depth and reality. So one of the questions, it's not really a question, but just something I want to figure out as we're going through this is what makes the Lord of the Rings work so well? Mm-hmm. Why does it feel so much deeper and richer than most other fantasies? Yeah. And I think that it's because, and I think you guys talked a bit about this in your genre episode, that it both is a fantasy, but it also kind of transcends that to just be a great story.
Right.
And it has the elements of what we've talked about with great stories, depth of characterization, depth of meaning, depth of theme, richness of detail, all those things that go into it. So,
yeah. It's hard to quantify, isn't it? It's like it's just a little bit better in all respects. But I think a lot of it is the moral content. You know, it is the idea that Faramir, simply by being kind, can change the world. That sort of thing is all through Tolkien, the Hobbit, simply by being humble.
Yeah.
And that provides some depth to the story.
Yeah.
And look who it is.
Our own hero.
Our own hero walking through the door to save the day.
Who's got all the qualities.
He's got all the quality, including a face on his hips that does not tell lies.
It doesn't.
As we discovered, here he is. Now, this is exciting, folks. He just turned off the lights. I think it's probably because he does not feel like being awake right now. We're going to find out what kind of a mood he's in. And it's a little bit like when Daddy gets home from work. And
we're all scared right now.
You don't know whether you're going to get beat or get sweets.
Beats or get sweets.
Beats or sweet. You know, did he have a bad day? Did he have a good day? Is he happy to be recording The Hobbit at 8:30 in the morning? Let's find out. It's our very own pastor who's a master of reading, Jake Menzel. Hey, Jake.
Hey.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. What do you think, Brandon?
Oh, man. I think I should have left his treasure alone.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. Well, we both left our black arrow at home.
Yeah.
We had a long conversation, Jake, about how we stole your treasure. And you were coming for us. And then we talked about how Brandon's hips don't lie, as we know.
Hips don't lie.
No, Brandon's hips don't lie. But your hips, we went ahead and let the cat out of the bag, always telling lies all the time.
Yeah, and I should be in the NBA.
Because your hips lie?
Yeah, if you can make your hips lie, then you need to be at the highest level of sport.
And if your hips lie, you're just one letter away from your hips being able to fly, which is what you need in the NBA.
Or, Brandon, one letter away from your hips being able to die.
Fly through the air.
But that's not how you spell that.
Yeah, you're 2 letters away. Actually, you're 3 letters away.
I mean, in a purely sound sense.
You're 7 letters away from your hips levitating. I mean, there's all kinds of things.
I know how to spell, guys.
A fun fact about Brandon, he can't actually read.
Yeah.
He does a really good job of pretending. No, we told the story of when we grew up. You remember this, Jake. We were on the playground, and your hips told me and Brandon that Mrs. McGillicuddy had ice cream. And then we went and ran to get ice cream because we both loved ice cream, old Brandon and Nathan. And it turned out that your hips were lying. There was no ice cream. Mrs. McGillicuddy was confused, and me and Brandon felt the fool.
As well you should have.
As well we should have.
Mrs. McGillicuddy hates children.
Yep. That a known fact. I don't know why we thought she would ever have ice cream or give it to us if she did. I guess we were a little bit like a dragon in front of treasure. We were so
greedy.
So greedy for ice cream that...
Yep.
So...
Well, And now we're talking about heroes.
What were we talking about?
That he gives these qualities to heroes that diversifies, makes them distinct.
Yeah, Brandon just said he wanted to figure out why The Hobbit was good.
Why these books work so well. What makes them a little bit better than other fantasies. Yeah. So we were in the middle of Riddles in the Dark. Mm-hmm. And even going back to that, I mean, the richness of detail there, you can see Gollum as a character. You feel like you're in the mine or the caverns with him. Mm-hmm. And so it's just... You feel the oppressiveness of it. You feel the darkness of it. You feel the fear, but also at the same time, he's able to maintain that levity that kind of marks this book.
Yeah.
Until maybe the end with the battle.
Well, the thing that's interesting about Gollum is that he feels like a mythological creature that we've all heard of. Like, he feels inevitable. He feels like one of those...
He feels like a Grendel.
Yeah. It's like we know Gollum. Everybody that's reading the book knows exactly how to read Gollum. Even if they've never heard Andy Serkis, they know what kind of a voice she should have and how to portray him and what kind of creature he is. He? Did I say she?
You said she.
You did.
That's weird.
That is weird.
I thought it was weird.
That is very strange.
Weird enough to point out.
What do you think about Gollum's hips? Do they lie?
I think they lie.
Yeah, all the time.
I mean, except you can see quite a few of them with that loincloth. But
yeah, you can see too much of Gollum's hips.
Yes, you can. So I definitely think that, so going back to the influence here, I think Grendel is also an influence because Grendel went out and ate humans and children, and it implies that that's what Gollum does as well.
Right.
Is that in this book that it tells you that he's snatches children out of...
No, I don't think so.
That's the Lord of the Rings,
That's Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Which really makes it problematic that then Peter Jackson tries to...
Make him cute
and heroic in the end as well.
Well, it's not like Peter Jackson gives us a scene of Gollum snatching a baby, and
so he doesn't add that into his story.
He just denies that.
Yeah,
but
Gollum's not the one that does that.
No, I'm not sure that you're right. I think about where he does that and when is it? Because
I don't know. I put in Gollum child catcher. I got 40,000 creepy pictures of the child catcher from whatever that thing is. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Gollum child
eats babies. Gollum eats babies.
Gollum eats babies. There we go.
So this is the Lord of the Rings. The woodman said that there was some new terror abroad, a ghost that drank blood. It climbed trees to find nests. It crept into holes to find the young. It slipped through windows to find cradles. This is chapter 2, The Shadow of the Past. Remember that in The Hobbit, Gollum intended to eat Bilbo and had killed and probably eaten goblins.
He eats orc children.
Yeah, so he eats orcs and wanted to eat Bilbo. So there is, I mean, and it's not like he's a great guy in The Hobbit either. So we should probably just make that point.
Right.
That maybe it's not explicitly stated in The Hobbit, but he's not the best guy. He would have eaten babies had he had the chance. So.
Okay, I'm glad we got this nailed down.
Yeah.
There's not too much ambiguity to the woodman said there was some new terror abroad, a ghost that drank blood. It climbed trees to find nests. It crept into holes to find the young. It slipped through windows to find cradles.
He's not going to sleep.
No.
So
maybe he's just a cradle. He just likes to see a good piece of woodworking.
Yeah, that's right. He's just admiring the cradle work.
All right, Brandon, you made a comment, and I'm glad Jake's here to address this with us.
Okay.
You made a comment earlier that, I don't know, I think a lot of people would take issue with, actually.
What did I say?
You said Tolkien doesn't, what's the word? Man, I'm sorry, folks. Like we said, this is the earliest we've ever recorded, and I don't have words yet.
No, I'm wondering what I said.
Yeah. No, you said something about how Tolkien doesn't type by race, doesn't stereotype by race, and yet
he does.
When it comes to heroism.
When it comes to heroism,
yeah.
Like hobbits are heroic differently. But a lot of people have found the books, to use these kinds of people's favorite word, problematic in the xenophobia.
Oh, well, I mean, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have distinct races with their own stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a hobbit is different than a man, and a man is different than a goblin, because a man is not a goblin and a hobbit's not a man.
And bad men happen to be black, and good men happen to be white.
Except for Denethor and Boromir.
Are they black?
No, they're bad.
Oh, they're bad.
Boromir, okay.
There is such a thing as a bad
white man, but there's no such thing as a good black man.
Yeah, a bad white man is someone who's been corrupted by the magic from the East.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is true.
So, Tolkien, xenophobe, we're in basically the chapter with Gollum and the goblins, which is where you start to get the degenerate, unrepentant other race that is black and awful. And goblins. I suppose we may as well deal with it here as anywhere else. What do you think about the charges?
Because it's also going to show up at the 5 battles, right? The Battle of the 5 Armies.
With the goblins in general. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, and then especially when the men get involved on the Oliphants and Peter Jackson didn't do us any favors by making that race of the men that help out Mordor look really Middle Eastern / African.
Yeah.
Well, that's how Tolkien describes
But
them.
yeah, also Tolkien didn't do us any favors, maybe. So
should have made them white men in business suits.
Tolkien actually makes a point of pointing out that they're black.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
In multiple places.
So should this bother us? What do we do with it? I know it's kind of an obnoxious question, but I think enough people probably hit against that one way or another that it's worth asking.
I'm not answering it, Jake. I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole.
I'm just asking questions, guys. I mean, that's my job.
Yeah. I think at the very least, if you want to be kind to Tolkien and give him every benefit of the doubt, what you can do is you can reframe this as, instead of using racism, which is a hammer that everybody likes to use, you can nuance it a little bit and call it ethnocentrism, which is, we start in The Hobbit, which is very much rural England or Scotland or Ireland or it's British Isles.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our good guys are. And the farther they go, it's Europe. It's ethnocentric, and he's writing stories for English children. And so if he wants to represent scary people from other places, then
right.
There are scary people from other places that have different ways in what the Western civilized world would call barbaric,
decadent, and
decadent, and there's reality and was and is reality and truth to those things.
There was also a lot of demonizing and scarifying and myth and legend, and I was just watching something about the fact that the idea of a harem with beautiful slave girls, like the beautiful slave girl, is something that Westerners came up with, and we all just assume. And there's paintings from the 18th century but nobody ever had a harem with like beautiful veiled, just things like that. Now maybe they had something that was actually worse and grosser, but my only point being to say
it's part of our demonizing the other cultures.
Right. It would be silly to say that there wasn't ever any demonizing of other cultures. And it would be
silly to think so.
Well, come on. I mean, it doesn't matter what your politics are. America depends on demonizing other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
The way that American globalism works, it depends on demonizing other cultures.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you support Obama in the White House or Trump. It's what we are inclined to do, what we tend to do.
You may think that certain aspects of American culture are what need to reign supreme, or you may think that other aspects are what need to reign supreme, but either way, you are ethnocentric, actually.
I've probably told this anecdote before, but grad school here, people are all about multiculturalism and about post-colonialism. Those were the two big theories when I went to grad school. And they're not anymore, as I'm finding out, because I've dived back in. But back then, everybody was concerned about other races,
right,
and about the way, especially our culture, has appropriated other races, made them the other, is what they would say all the time. But then you would go to these grad student parties. They were all very white, and they were all very upper class and elitist, and not a single one of them would ever accept that person they were concerned about as the other into these social situations with them. Does that make sense? They don't go out and be with these people.
Yeah.
They just want to
feel better about themselves.
It's very patronizing.
Being patronizing.
So in other words, that's going to your point. They are ethnocentric. They're the ethnocentric of being the intelligentsia who wants to pretend like they can absolve themselves.
They're patting themselves on the back and saying they love the other.
Yeah.
Well, and much of that sort of ethnocentric impulse really is, at least in modern, within the context of modern America, is really just classism, right? Mm-hmm. You actually could be an upper class, intelligent black man or woman and be accepted into that circle.
Yes.
What you couldn't be is a lower class white person or a lower class black or Mexican or Hispanic. It's as much about class as it is about anything else in modern America at this point, at least in Northern America, in academia, in a university community.
Right. You can certainly find pockets of virulent, outright racism.
Not pretending like that's not
more
real.
Than pockets, but
not pretending like that's not real in Indiana, at least in the worlds that we're talking about. Now, if you wanted to make a case that Tolkien, if you didn't want to put the softest touch on it as possible and the softest spin on it as possible, call it ethnocentrism, and say he was just writing for English school children and how to make these other people exotic, then I think the best way to make the case that Tolkien's actually just straight up racist is to look at orcs and elves. Orcs are degenerate elves. And when orcs become degenerate, or when elves degenerate, they become inbred, they become dark. They become dark of skin instead of ultra fair of skin.
And they become nasty and vulgar and brutal.
There's a degradation that involves discoloration in the way that Tolkien portrays different races within races. And you can make that case. You could also just say, well, you
need a bad guy. And
well, you've got elves that live in trees and you've got orcs that live in the depths of mountains. And
well, so
Tolkien's a racist.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes.
I'm not going to read these books, guys.
He was.
You guys do this on your own.
Tolkien was, I think, not just ethnocentric. You could say xenophobic. You can say race, whatever word you want to put on it. Tolkien definitely thought of certain people as others, and his stories serve to perpetuate that idea.
So the difficulty is we can't be anachronistic with our criticisms of others in the sense that he probably didn't even think of this as racism at the time.
Right, he wasn't probably making a conscious choice.
He was borrowing from the cultural tropes and stereotypes that he had at his disposal to write a story. And the easiest thing to do was to have it doesn't necessarily make it better, but it's different than someone today writing the story.
Yeah.
Where somebody today would be very conscious about that. It would not make the dumb mistake of making every bad guy black.
No, I would hope not.
Yeah. I mean, unless they're just...
unless they're Peter Jackson.
That's true.
But part of the difference is that, I don't know, my kids go to a school where they have black classmates and they go to a church where they have black friends.
Yeah.
But if I can hold your feet to the fire on that, do you want your kids reading something that so thoroughly contains these, shall we say, outdated cultural... your kids
I think it washes over them, actually.
Yeah,
I don't think that they even... What happened the other day? Oh, my kids wanted to watch Remember the Titans. That's what happened. We're in Disney Plus. Oh, it looks like a football movie.
And you told them they couldn't because it had a black man as the hero, and you don't watch those kinds of movies in your house.
Yeah, exactly.
And he draped his Confederate flag over his shoulders and shot some guns outside.
Folks, not true. That's not who Jake is.
I was like, okay, well, we'll try this. And then I found myself having to explain this world that made no sense to them. It was completely foreign. They just could not understand that this was even real. Like the idea that black people and white people couldn't go to school together and didn't just hated each other because of their skin. Like it was just like their minds were they were just blown. And, one of my kids was just like, are you trying to tell me that my baseball team couldn't have Riley or Muhammad on it? They're really good. That's like the dumbest thing in the world.
The thing that annoys me is that, or that I think is worth noting, is that we live in a society, though, that doesn't accept that as the solution. Right. Like when we grew up, I think we really did just think we were living in a maybe naively.
I very much felt.
Me too.
Whether it was true or not, I very much felt that I was living in a post-racial world.
I've got black people and Chinese people and everything else in my school, and it's fine. They're people. And the fact that anyone ever thought of them as anything different is just the ridiculous.
And the fact that people still do, they're the outliers and they're seen as
monsters.
Yeah. The monsters.
Right. Yeah. They're the orcs. And now it's like, actually, Nathan, have imbibed these, inherent oppressive racial things, and we can never be free of race. And
yeah, which is it really is absurd. Because you also have to keep in mind that Tolkien's drawing from racial binaries, but he's also drawing from just the classic fantasy binary of dark versus light.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
And that's going to play out in the story as well. And maybe it's unfortunate that it comes out in where they live and the tone of their skin. But I don't think so I've read The Lord of the Rings to my kids. They've seen the movies. My older kids have. And they all have friends that are of different race than them. I don't think it's once made them think of... So my young son, Henry, his two best friends are black. And I don't think he's once thought of either of them as an orc because of Tolkien.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, I felt, as we're sitting there watching Remember the Titans, I was just feeling bad about showing, like, it's almost like, in some ways, showing your kids something that's sexualized.
Yeah.
It introduces them to ideas
Now they have
that
to deal with the fact that these
they're
things
innocent
exist.
of.
Yeah.
They're innocent of these ideas.
Right.
And you've almost corrupted their innocence by introducing them to the concept, the possibility, the idea. And I don't want to pretend like my kids haven't noticed that other people have different skin tones than them. But to them, it's just like, whoa, well, that's weird. That's kind of cool. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's not something to be like, I don't think it's ever crossed any of their minds that someone is better than someone because of that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm naive about it, but I just,
Maybe
my oldest son is 11, and it just seemed like I was by playing this movie, I was introducing them to this completely foreign.
And actually, it's even back when I was young, it wasn't as deep set as. So a little background here. I came from a family that on my dad's side is, well, on both sides actually, they're lower class white people.
Mm-hmm.
What the grad students would have looked on as like the rednecks, that sort of class. The trailer, some of them were trailer trash as well. But my granddad, he ran the city dump for Kennedale. One of his best friends was a black man.
Yeah.
One of my uncle, who was extremely just loud and obnoxious, one of his best friends was a black man.
Mm-hmm.
We had my aunt, one of her chefs at the restaurant she worked for as a waitress, was a black man. He would come to my grandparents' house sometimes and like prepare food and stuff. Like when my granddad was dying, he gave food. And so we still had the boundaries weren't as strict as these people are wanting to pretend they are. And I think a large part of it's just political and obliviousness to the actual way the world works. You do have the class of men who are like orcs that hate people based on race. And there was a time in our history when those men had political control and capital and did some awful, horrible things because they had wealth with plantations. And that was an awful, awful period of history. I'm reading this biography of Frederick Douglass with some students, and it's really awful and horrendous. But that doesn't mean that then every poor white person is a racist. It's just an unfair categorization that the left wants to force onto people.
It's unfair. And yet, every time any of us in this conversation has said the words best friend and black in the same sentence, I've cringed.
I know.
Because I just imagine people thinking, well, these white privileged dudes in their white ivory tower.
I would not be surprised.
Talking on a podcast about.
Not be surprised if we get some pretty awful bad reviews because of this episode, actually, now that you say it.
I mean.
Look, I know it was different. I know it was different for my black friends growing up than it was for me now. It didn't feel different. To me, from my perspective, it did feel like I was growing up in a post-racial world. And I know that they felt different pressures. And I know that because I've talked to them about it. I know that because of what happened in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that even just looking back on things like, so I lived in a very nice neighborhood in the suburbs of Evansville, Indiana, which may not sound like a
mecca of progressive values and all that.
But you know, one of my best friends in the neighborhood was a black kid named Brian Akari, who works for Facebook now. And, you know, my dad loved Brian. But one of the reasons my dad loved Brian is because Brian would come over and, you know, want to play. And I'd have to wash the car or something first. I'd have to wash the cars. And Brian would just throw in with me. Like, all right, let's wash the cars. Okay, what chores do you have to get? Let's do it. Even things like that I look back on and I think, you know, I wonder if his parents like coached him up.
If he wasn't somehow more subservient than one of your white friends because of...
Or just more willing to like, or just more working harder to be sure that the parents of his white friends liked him.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were maybe the only black family in the neighborhood, or if they weren't, they were the only one that I had kids that were running with us. So even those kinds of pressures, I realized, like, I know that I would be, as a parent, if I were a minority in a neighborhood, I would be much more intent on making sure my kids were making good impressions.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas my parents didn't have that pressure.
Nope.
And then you saw that sort of thing play out when you hit high school, where things hadn't felt racialized. They did start to feel racialized, but it was a peer pressure sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about that anymore, though.
Yeah.
Well, I just really think, I don't know, can we say there's something to be said for allowing calculated naivete in, especially a child, as part of their education. It's not that you don't want to eventually learn the realities of certain things, but little Jake, assuming we lived in a post-racial world, made little Jake kind in certain ways that weren't bad, actually. And I guess everybody has to grow up. But, like if kids in our circles assume that, oh, I should treat a woman with value. And then at a certain point, they realize, well, of course I should, but actually the world's a terrible place and full of sexual degradation and stuff like that. But is it okay for them not to get woke to all that too early? Is it, I don't even know if I'm even making sense here, but is it okay for them to actually...
Innocence is a good thing.
Live in the bubble of innocence, right?
Yeah, there's a time when innocence needs to become maturity.
Join experience and... Yeah.
But protecting innocence can be invaluable in protecting your children and raising them up to be godly, kind people.
Right.
It's a worthwhile thing.
It's
one of my favorite lines that I just read, The Lord of the Flies.
Mm-hmm.
At the end, Ralph, it says he wept. He wept for the loss of innocence and for the darkness of man's hearts.
And for
the death of the true wise friend Piggy.
The true wise friend Piggy. That book's got some great lines. We should do that book sometime.
It's better than I thought it was going to be.
It's good. Yeah. It's good. I mean, it's such a cliche, I guess. It's kind of hard to talk about.
It's always nice to see the cliches that actually be good.
Actually be good. Yeah. The Lord of the Flies.
Simon's death, where the water comes in and all the silver sea creatures, and the way that he
to rule them all.
Yeah, one fly
to bind them.
One pig's head to rule them all. One pig's head to find them.
What is it that the Lord of the Flies says to him? Like, I am the Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The darkness that is within.
I am the darkness that is. Yeah, pretty creepy stuff. Yay.
Lord of the Rings, though.
Yeah, no. It's nice when Piggy drops the fly into the lava and the Lord of the Flies is defeated. Where were we?
Race, Gollum.
So I guess the naivety thing that I was just saying, the way I would tie that into Lord of the Rings is I don't know that I would ever feel any need to go there with kids. I mean,
I haven't yet. I'm almost done with Two Towers and I haven't felt it.
Because like Brandon said, they're not going to, Tolkien hates black things. Some of my friends are black. I should hate them.
Off with their heads.
Off with their heads. Yeah, they're not going to do the math that way. They think that goblins are just goblins. Right. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody out there is listening and they think that Lord of the Rings has somehow inculcated bad racism in them, as opposed to good racism, Nathan. It's early in the morning. Shut up, listener. Now you can talk, but I can't hear you. If somebody's listening and they think that Lord of the Rings has inculcated bad racism, I just did it again.
Just go with it, Nathan.
If somebody's listening and they think that Lord of the Rings it's my white privilege, isn't it, Brandon?
Yeah,
I'm just like
privilege.
I have this inherent.
This is your language. You can do
this is my language. Listen, if somebody's out there and they think that Lord of the Rings has inculcated racism or something like that in them, I'd love to hear about it. Actually, I think it would be interesting. I think that there's more to say about this, but I think we've said what we want to say.
We have.
Well, is there anything else we want to say about Riddles in the Dark, the chapter / the Goblin down in Goblin Town?
I've said all I want to say. I mean, I think we've already said in the past that it's fun, that as the vivid imagery you come to expect and love from Tolkien in this book. The descriptions of the goblins are pretty fun. I mean, the kids enjoy these chapters.
Right.
So, the introduction of a really iconic character like Gollum.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, it's such an iconic scene that even if Gollum didn't go on to do anything else, he would still be an iconic character. Yeah. It's just a great scene.
As far as the hero's journey trail that this is following, this is his descent into Hades.
This is the descent. Yep. This is Luke Skywalker going into the belly of the Death Star, or going into that cave and facing Darth Vader.
Yep.
Jake, where does this rank as far as cave stories go?
Oh, yeah, we never answered that question.
Yeah, because Jake wasn't
Riddles
here.
in the Dark?
And Jake was the one that was claustrophobic about...
So we
Tip Top.
Silver Chair, we had mentioned, then the Lord of the Rings with Mines of
Moria.
Yeah.
And then we have this.
I don't know. I think there's something special about this one that the Mines of Moria is cool. Silverchair is very effective at doing what it does, but I don't know, there's a reason that Rowling ripped this one off instead of the others.
The little pool that Dumbledore and Harry go into at the
the island in the middle of the pool in the middle of the cave.
It's terrifying. It's creepy. Yeah.
There's something actually much
location.
more. Well, it actually, I think part of it is the fact that if you've ever been caving or in a cave, like this is much more like what you might actually be afraid of. Like this is much more of a. You're not gonna run into
a super race of diamond eaters or whatever
creepy witch with, it's not going to be populated with all these things, but there may be one thing down there.
One loathsome creature
that can see in the dark and has lurked there for a long time.
And is hungry.
So I think just for maybe a more visceral, I don't know.
Well, I guess that creepy idea.
Plus it's fun. It is like, the other thing I think is genius about the chapter is it's one of those places that Tolkien likes to do here and there, where he introduces, the riddles, the things that a kid can figure out ahead of the characters. And so it is one of those places in the book that my kids like to
try and figure out the riddles.
Well, not just that. They like to go, like, Peter went back and read The Hobbit and then was like, I'm going to try to stump my brothers with these riddles. They go to that chapter in the book and read the riddles and try to remember them.
I think for a lot of kids, and maybe for me, this is your introduction to the idea of riddling. Actually, not that you don't have a dumb riddle book, but the idea that it's something that adults can do and it's not just puns and stuff. It's something that has a history and a legacy to it, and some form and some intelligence and some poetry to the way it's constructed. I think this was and high stakes.
Yeah.
High stakes riddling.
Because you might become a steak.
You might become a steak. Nicely done, Brandon.
Thank you, Nathan.
I award you no points.
No, you're right. There's just also the element of having like a boat there, right?
Yeah.
So all this is just terrifying and strange, otherworldly and weird.
Well, it gets at that creepy idea. I think that the scariest things actually aren't on the map. They're the things that are lurking in the darkness that no one even knows about, because anyone that's discovered Gollum hasn't lived to tell the tale.
I remember correctly, right? He had a boat.
Yeah, Gollum has a little boat that he rows around on. Yeah. It's great. Also, we're saying this chapter heavily rewritten. It'd be really fascinating to read the original version, because Gollum does just give the ring to Bilbo, and it's like, you won. Great. See ya, buddy.
Beat this boss level.
You beat this boss level. Let me show you the way out. If my understanding's correctly, that's actually what Tolkien's instinct was the first time, and then he had to change it.
Was it the Voyage of the Dawn Treader, where you had the rewrites that made it better?
Did they make it better or worse? Did Tolkien add the Aslan, that eagle that destroyed the dark nightmare alley thing, or did he take that out?
Tolkien?
Sorry guys. 8:30 in the morning.
I think C.S. Lewis might have made it worse. Did he make it worse?
I don't remember. I think he made it better.
He made it better.
By having the dark world stay there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because originally Aslan destroyed it.
Yeah, like Aslan comes swooping. Although the copy of the book that I read, I think, has that. So
yeah, I think you read the wrong copy. But we read the Americanized fixed version.
Good for you guys. America.
Yeah, America.
The greatest country in the world.
We always do.
We even have better Narnia.
But Tolkien definitely made it better with his additions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and then he had fun with it.
Yeah, the idea that Bilbo always lied about that story.
Yeah, he always lied about the story and told it. You may have heard this story differently. Well,
that's because
Bilbo was ashamed of what he did, and
actually, the author, I'm just catching up right now with the fact that
that is a pretty clever way to do it.
It's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
The other thing that's worth saying is that, did we say this? Tolkien actually wanted to go back and rewrite The Hobbit again to bring it into line with Lord of the Rings, to make it a somber adult. I don't know if he would have said the word somber adult, but to bring it into line with the tone of Lord of the Rings. And I think he did have the wisdom to actually give up that scheme. Maybe he died in time. maybe we were spared from it by him not having a chance to do it. But I think he just decided, oh, well, you know what? Actually, maybe it's an artifact and I wouldn't do it this way now, but I can't preserve what's good about this and bring it into line with the kinds of stories I wanted to tell in Lord of the Rings. It belongs to people now. And so he did not pull a George Lucas. I guess that would be the parallel that most people would think of. Although I like the special editions personally. I'm a special edition apologist. Well, guys, we've managed to cover
Riddles in the Dark, 2 chapters.
Exactly 1 chapter of this book today.
Wow.
And so we'll be back next week. I did not actually expect to have to do this, but we'll be back next week with Hobbit Part 3.
I think it was a good conversation, though.
The Battle of 5 Armies. Yay.
We're going to bring in 2 other people so we can have 5 people talking about it?
5, yeah, we should. And then we'll have the Eagles show up and peck our eyes out and end the podcast at the end. I don't know. Is there anything else you guys want to say about... We didn't really talk much about the goblins. Anything to say about them? I guess we talked a lot about the goblins because we talked about like race and stuff. Gandalf shows up and kills that goblin king, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I think Tolkien did it again.
All right, guys, let's do donor shout outs.
All right.
I'll shout them out and you guys say something nice about them.
Okay.
You can take turns. If I can find the donors, I'm sorry, folks. I used to have them all memorized back in the day when we had like 10, but that is no longer the case. Thanks to you wonderful
thanks a lot,
fans. Yeah, thanks a lot for supporting us and giving us hundreds of dollars. All right, Robert and Rhonda the Lovebirds.
Robin and Rhonda the Lovebirds.
I'm shouting them out. You guys are just saying something nice, Brandon.
Oh, you're not goblins.
Yeah, good. By the way, how do they become patrons, Jake?
You go to patreon.com/the Bookening, sign up to give in any amount. You become a patron. If you want to get a donor shout out, that's $10 a month. One of our most popular levels is $50 a month, where you get to basically be in the book club and get personalized copies of every book that we read sent out well in advance, so you have time to read it and listen along.
True story. And you could even be as cool as the artful Anthony Dodger.
Not an orc.
Are goblins and orcs pretty much the same thing?
No, they're different.
Okay, good. Glad we cleared that up. Little Anthony's Cigar Store.
Not Sauron.
Good. Is this how you compliment your wife?
Yeah.
Hey, way to not be an ugly old hag today. You're especially unhag-like today. Jimmy Beam and Little Annie Oakley.
Not Barrow Whites.
Lily of the Valley.
Not Nazgul.
No, not. Andrew Nestor the Lovebirds.
Not Urukai.
The Keith Master.
Not Saruman.
Nope. Keith Master, not Saruman. Can confirm. David's Mighty Men Trucking.
Not Men of the South.
Nope. I don't know about those Men of the South. They seem different than us. John and Jill and Little Baby Max.
Not Gollums.
Nope. Not Gollums. Jay and Katie, who are cold and love cheese, and also C.S. Lewis, including Till We Have Faces.
Not Denethor.
Good for them.
We're playing a game of Jenga here.
Yeah.
Who's going to run out of pieces first? Fairy Princess of Wonder and Happiness, Mother Beth.
Not the Nazgul's flying beasts.
Those guys don't even have names, do they?
I think we looked this up already.
No, they're just flying beasts. Consul Prime Adam.
Not Wargs.
Ooh, man.
Jeremy, the Dark-Hooded Lord of Death.
Not the Necromancer.
Nope.
That's Sauron. That's
kind
cheap.
of-
That's cheap.
All right, fine. Not,
You're making him burn another one. I don't know that was good strategy there, Jake.
oh man, what's his name? The guy from...
Oh, there's a lot to choose from here. Come on.
Are there?
Yeah, Brandon.
Oh,
There
not
are.
Wormtongue.
Yeah, not Wormtongue. There you go. Nathan, not me? Did I say him already? Nathan,
Yeah.
not me.
Not Boromir.
Maya!
Not Scary Galadriel.
Nope. That great character.
Yeah.
Blue filter. Ryan the Red Avenger and Judith of the Ladies of Justice.
Not the mayor of
Small Town, whatever that is.
Rivertown.
I forgot about the Hobbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny the Dude.
Not Smaug.
Nope. DJ Sammy G.
Not Shelob.
Benny and Dana Tiberius.
Not... Move ran out. That's it.
No, we haven't. I can think of at least 2 more that you haven't said.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the big bad from the Silmarillion?
Oh,
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek. No,
Begins with an M.
yeah,
Not...
Master of Evil.
Not...
Mordor. Malcor.
Sure, not Mordor.
Not Mordor. There we go. Oh, see, Jake's going to come back
It's
with
the land of...
Jake's going to come back with a real one now because there are some more real ones, and
I know.
I think Jake's the kind of man that can think of them. Did I say DJ Sammy G?
Not Smog. Did you just say
I said
Smog?
Smaug.
He said Smog.
Crap. Not Elfkate.
Not Elf.
One of the great villains from
that is
from
true.
Tolkien. Eric and Catherine from Beyond Window Breaks.
Not that guy who betrays them when they're trying to get to Bree. Remember, and he tells the Nazgul they're going that way.
Oh yeah, that guy sucks.
That guy.
Professor Lady X.
Oh, I just thought of another one. All right, good. Whew.
I think you guys still haven't just said some of the generic chapter villains from The Hobbit. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you said them when I wasn't paying attention.
Oh, duh.
Not the trolls.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Lavender's green, Dylan, Dylan. Lavender's blue. Lavender's green, Dylan, Dylan. I love you too.
Not that pond monster that tries to eat them before they get into Mordor.
Oh, that thing's cool. I forgot about
Moria. Thank you. Moria.
Probably a pond.
I've never read these books before, guys.
Noah Constrictor?
Not the Balrog.
Oh, yeah. We didn't say the Balrog yet. They've got a Balrog.
No.
We've got a Hulk.
That would be funny, yeah.
I'm sure somebody has to have done that. Maricheap.
I was just laughing. That idea. Not.
I deserve points for that.
Yeah, you get 40 points. Good job.
Not the spiders from The Hobbit.
Yeah, you guys haven't even said the spiders from The Hobbit yet.
You said Shelob.
You said Shelob, but...
Oh, come on. I thought of them and I thought, no, Shelob ruled them
Fine,
out.
not the trickster elves from the woods.
The elves of Mirkwood.
You dork.
Come on.
Come on, Brandon.
You nerd.
For accusing someone of being a nerd for not being able to make polls from Lord of
There's
the
your
Rings.
alliteration, you nerds.
The Fair and Fragrant Maiden Chloe. I don't think you guys have said still some villains from Lord of the Rings or from The Hobbit.
Some obvious ones.
Mm-hmm. Maybe you have, and I just missed it. Did you guys say war?
I did say wargs.
Okay, I do apologize.
Yeah.
We've scraped the bottom.
No, you haven't. The Mr. Tree. Remember Mr. Tree?
Oh, yeah, Old Man Tree.
Old Man Willow, whatever his name
Willow,
is.
yeah.
I got one.
Tries to eat him.
All right. I helped Jake, so I'm deducting 1 point from his 40. He has 39 points. Brandon still has 0 points. So
What if I told you that I did think of that, and then I thought, well, I don't know if you can't name it's not a character, it's just a tree that...
Oh, he's a character. He's alive.
Okay.
Good job, Jake.
That's
Well done.
Can I get a quarter point back?
Yes, you have 39 and a quarter. Six-pack Zach with mean attack and Catherine with the knack for laying down the smack.
Eowyn, because a woman should not fight in battle.
All right, you
Oh, my goodness.
misogynist bore. Anthony, who's cold and hates life, liberty, and the pursuit of cheese.
Well, look up the bad guy from the Silmarillion. He's that guy.
Well,
Give him to Jake.
You said the Nazgul, which keeps us from doing like the Witch King.
No, you can say the Witch King. He can be the Witch King.
Yeah, I think you can go specific and more generic.
All right, I'm going with the Witch King.
Sweet. Jujitsu. Oh, no, Anthony. Yeah. Jujitsu Jeffrey, the Texas Ranger.
He's definitely those guys who betrayed Isildur so that Aragorn has to go and use them as ghost fighters.
Oh, yeah, those guys are.
Oh, yeah, I thought
pretty
of those earlier, and
They're
forgot
not necessarily
to hold them
bad.
in my head.
They're pretty bad. They're ghosts. Ghosts are scary. Rachel.
You think the Ghostbusters could have beat him?
Those ghosts?
Yeah.
No, I think the Ghostbusters.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
They ain't afraid of no ghosts, but they probably should be. I think those guys would rip their guts out.
It's kind of overwhelming.
There's a giant army of ghosts. Hard to fire. Hard to take care of those guys with proton packs. Did we have one for Rachel? Ooh, you guys haven't
is it on
said a
me?
fun one. Yeah. To be fair, folks, I've got the One Ring wiki pulled up right now, but you guys have missed some fun ones from the book
From The Hobbit?
or Lord of the Rings. I'll give you a hint. This guy's kind of a diplomat.
He's already done Worm Tongue.
No, he's only ever appears in one scene, and he's speaking for somebody else.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Oh, the guy at the end who, yeah.
Yeah, that guy.
But does he even have a name? He's
He
just
d-
like
he's
all
got a-
teeth and face.
He's got a title.
Teethy face.
Oh, the...
It's Teethy Face.
yeah, old toothy face.
Old toothy
I
face.
think Brandon mispronounced it.
Old toothy face.
Old Toothy Face. No, he's got a title in the book.
The mouth of Sauron.
That's right.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Brandon, I'm going to give you 40 points.
Whoa.
So Jake is now behind, but he's very close with 39 and a quarter, and somebody needs to say Leopard Tank Thomas.
Okay, give me a clue.
Well, I think it's actually back to Jake, because you stole that one and got points. And you can steal this one again. Jake, these guys are a crew of ne'er-do-wells that...
The pirates from...
Yep.
Pirates
The
of Penzance.
Corsairs of Umbar and the Pirates of Penzance, obviously. When Aragorn slaughters the Pirates of Penzance, that's one of the best scenes.
That would be amazing.
Midnight Ninja Ellen.
Oh, she is definitely, she's the shards of Narsil because they cut Boromir because they're sharp.
Still sharp.
Those are good.
I'm the deductive
Those are
point
good
for
things.
that. So
I'm in the lead.
Jake is in the lead. I said Midnight Ninja Ellen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Queen can get a.
Jay and Katie, who are cold and love cheese, and also C.S. Lewis, including Till We Have Faces. I think they're villains in this story.
Whoa.
That's fair. That's fair.
I love you guys.
All right. We love you. Queen can get a. Did I say her already? Did I say Queen can get a?
You did.
Okay. Return of the Jedi Dia.
Oh, he's Darth Vader.
That's probably the best Lord of the Rings villain. Boy, let's see here.
In that case,
Timothy the Rider at Dawn.
Lord Voldemort.
Lord Voldemort. Yeah, he's.
Do you think Lord Voldemort could take on Sauron? Have we already asked this question?
No way. He can't hold up candle.
The Green Witch, could she take on Sauron?
No.
Is there any villain we've read that could take on Sauron?
Maybe if they got the ring.
If we read Paradise Lost, then
the devil
could.
The devil. There's only one villain. Jay of Rack and Ruin. Did I say him already?
No, you didn't. Oh man, he is so much a
Dementor.
A Dementor.
Yeah,
we're supposed to actually be complimenting these people.
Oh yeah,
they're not.
They're
any
not.
Of the things that we've mentioned.
Timothy, the Rider at Dawn.
He's the Rohirrim.
He's just the Rohirrim?
No, he's not the opposite of the Rohirrim.
So he's not Theoden when he's.
He's not the wargs.
Yeah, he's not the wargs.
He's not.
So you just reuse the wargs.
How about Azog the Defiler, guys? The greatest villain from
The
Hobbit.
he's not Azog the Defiler. Sure.
What the heck?
Asdog. He's not Asdog the Defiler. You guys haven't said.
What in the world are you
He's that
talking
strange
about?
albino one. The bad Hobbit movies.
Yeah, he's also is a character in the appendices
Like in the
that appears
Silmarillion
for
or
a minute.
something? Okay.
Let's see here. I said Jay of Rack and Ruin, right?
Yeah.
Did I say Timothy the Rider at Dawn?
Yeah.
Did I say the well-named Eric and Kate, the Camp Champ Kings who are warm and love bees?
No, you didn't. And they are. Who do we have left on the list there, Nathan?
Let's see here. We've got Snow Trolls. I don't know what those are.
They're not snow trolls.
Some of these might be from the movies. Gundabad Orcs. Harry Goatleaf.
Goblin King.
Oh, the Goblin King.
Yeah,
We
they're
haven't
not
said
the
him.
Goblin King.
Maddie, Matman.
She's not the Joker.
Nope. All right. And Sweet Jamie Sunshine.
Not.
Ted Sandyman. Whoever that is.
Yeah.
And then we've got Tyler and Laura. I want to welcome Tyler and Laura. We did not come up with good names for them last time, but I've got good names for them this time. We have Tyler, the keeper of eternal darkness, and Laura, the keeper of eternal light.
Wow, always warring.
Always warring, but when you
Like
put them
yin and
together,
yang.
you make
They
them.
turn into yin yang.
Yeah, they make a great couple.
That's sweet, Nathan.
Balance.
Yes, balance. Tyler and Laura are well balanced. I love it.
They need Anakin between them,
Yep.
holding them together.
Maybe they can have a
keeping them
baby
in
and name
check.
him Anakin. Maybe they have a baby named Anakin. They probably do.
I don't see why not.
That's a good ending line. Hey, Bookening today, produced by us, written, talked, things, people, and Brandon, patreon.com/the Bookenings, where you can support us. We've got things, people, and Brandon. The trifecta.
I fit in neither of those categories.
Hey, at least I didn't make you a thing.
Yeah.
Which one? You think I'm the thing or Jake's the thing?
We'll let that be a mystery.